Hey, Mrparka here, and this is going to be my last video from this room. I'm currently moving. It is completely empty, except a bunch of crap piled up to move. I will be reviewing Adjust Your Tracking. This had so much hype. We all waited for it for a long, long time. This is the big box edition that comes with a VHS that's an hour and 40 minutes long, 2-disc DVD set, and then a extra bonus disc with a lot of deleted interviews and whatnot. Adjust Your Tracking is basically a film that documents the VHS collecting subculture and, you know, I guess counterculture type deal, and they get into like the nerdom of it and the collecting and how serious it has actually gotten. It's very cool to see, you know, other people's collections and things like that. If you're into VHS collecting or horror collecting, or you grew up in a time where there was video stores, it's interesting to see other people's collections.
There's not really a method to the madness. There is to me, but not to somebody who hasn't been putting them up on the shelves themselves. If I got one, and I did, let's just talk about this. This right here is Vampire Hookers. It's also known as Night of the Bloodsuckers. So obviously it's going to have to go near it. So Night of the Bloodsuckers was already right there. So when I came in, I just had to I had to find one that could go. I pulled it out, slid it down, put my Vampire Hookers directly beside my Night of the Bloodsuckers, and went and took the other one back to the other room and had to make room for it.
Once I hit 1,000, I asked for a label maker from my mom for Christmas, and her being awesome got me one. So I just went ape shit. I have like sub-genres. Slasher, power tools, killer animals, full moon worth buying, mad doctors, a rape and revenge section, zombies, appliances, holiday slasher films, medical horror, occult, supernatural, bums, called Get a Job, You Shit Your Pants. I have too many.
And, you know, a lot of the why they collect and stuff like that, it's a lot of the same stuff, you know, nostalgia or, you know, just old memories or how cool they look or things like that. Everyone has a lot of the same reasons, and hence it's obvious, you know, because they're freaking awesome. But, I could see somebody who's not really into like counterculture documentaries or VHS at all. They would really probably not have much looking into this movie. But obviously, people that are into it, which is the mainstream, the main target audience, they will enjoy this, especially if they were involved with the VHS, you know, on Facebook, collecting and trading and things like that. The VHS Collectors Unite. You'll recognize a lot of names pop up in here. People you probably bought tapes off of or traded possibly. It's interesting, you know, there's a lot of people that have released their own VHS tapes in this documentary, talking Louis C. Justin from Massacre Video, the guys from Briarwood, I think, and stuff like that. But there's also, you know, old people talking about the coolest thing is they show people talking about the boom of the VCR and the VHS and them going into video stores and renting and how different it was. You basically hear the rise, the fall, and then you hear the people basically collecting the dust and gathering all the pieces, and that's what this documentary is about, people gathering the pieces of the fall of the VHS world.
I was 4 years old and my grandfather brought home a top loader VCR, and we could not believe that you could watch movies at home. Like, we couldn't get our heads around it. And just not just because I was 4, but like, you know, my 58-year-old grandmother was like losing her mind. She's just like, so anything we want to watch. And my you know, it was based, of course, at that time on the availability of any given title, which was pretty sparse. But as the expanding selection became available, like, it really seemed like this bold new world. And, you know, there's that talk about people thinking like TVs were going to replace movies, you know, back in the 50s. Like, it really felt like home video was this massive change.
If it's obvious what your family wants for Christmas.
When video hit, I was like right on top of this thing. I mean, I went out and bought my first video recorder. Was about this big, weighed about 90 pounds. I paid about $800 for it. Had like big piano keys you depressed, a wired remote. And the first 2 tapes I bought were $60 a piece. It was Night of the Living Dead and Assault on Precinct 13.
And these movies, they were all like $70 and $80. And I remember some rich woman coming in saying, I don't know if I should buy Nashville or MASH. And she went, I'll buy both. And I was like, wow, that's She's the luckiest, richest lady I've ever seen in my life.
Hi, I'm Michael Pollack, and I'd like to personally invite you to see the all-new Colonial House Apartments, where I've created an exciting new lifestyle in beautiful Southwest Houston. Move today to the Colonial House Apartments and receive a free video recorder.
I used to go to these video stores long before I could ever afford a video machine. And I would just stare at the tapes and drool. And '83 was the real golden year of VHS. And that's when, in my towns and all the neighboring towns, every other corner had a mom and pop video store on it. They just popped up.
The mom and pop video stores, which were really the main, they were like bookstores. You'd go in, you'd browse, you'd find an interesting title. It might be Blood-Sucking Freaks, or it might be the Queen Elizabeth story, but there was a variety.
That's Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th Part 2, Friday the 13th Part 3, Friday the 13th Part 4, and Friday the 13th Part 5. I have got to find another job. Oh, can I have one of these?
There's clips and other, you know, of famous shot on video stuff like Black Devil Doll. There's clips in there, Wood Chipper Massacre. Just lots of clips of movies as well. Overall, it's an entertaining movie that will appeal to VHS fans and people that grew up during that time, or people that like, you know, kind of nerdum, counterculture, collecting and stuff like that. I'd say the climax in the movie is when you realize that one VHS tape, Tales of the Quad Dead Zone, sold for $660. That caused this giant, like, crazy stir in the VHS online world, and they kind of focus that as like the climax in this film. I enjoyed it for watching other people's collections and things like that more so than anything, and some of the interviews were cool as well. I would check this one out. It has great cover art. I mean, if you like VHS, then check it out for sure. If you're not really interested in that kind of stuff, I don't know why you're even watching my channel, but I probably want to avoid it. But it's awesome for VHS collectors and stuff like that. You get to see a lot of names to faces and whatnot. There's so many deleted scenes and stuff that you probably wouldn't even watch them all. But there's some cool short videos on here about Chester Turner, who did Black Devil Doll and whatnot, and his releases on Massacre Video. A cool video store in Staten Island. It wasn't in vain, it was in Staten Island. That was pretty interesting to watch. And then basically the close of a video store of this family-ran video store. But that is a Adjust Your Tracking big box. It will be released later on 2-disc DVD for all you guys that don't want that extra bonus disc or it on VHS tape. But I say check it out if you're into the VHS collecting world or want to see a glimpse of it. There's also a movie called Rewind This, which I have not seen, which is coming out. I'm not sure how that one fares, but that's my review of Adjust Your Tracking. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
It must not be worth anything, but I was like, hey, wait a minute, Chester Turner? So I put it on eBay immediately.
I was super excited and thought I was actually going to own it, and I was like really happy for a week. And initially I was actually one of the original bidders, and it was at like 30 bucks, and I was like, max bid 100.
These guys were all writing to me and going, would you take $100 the next day? Would you take $150 a couple hours later? Would you take $200? Okay, Eric, I'll give you $400 for this tape. And I was like, guys, you're not getting this VHS tape for any amount of money. You got to bid on it.
A day later, it was at like 150, and I'm like, 200.
At one point, I watched the movie a second time. I was like, I better watch this again. I'd hate to sell it to somebody. And they go, Eric, the movie's all staticky. The picture's jumping. Tales from the Quad Dead Zone doesn't work.
Like, as it kept going and slowly rising. Then one day I'm like, I really, really want this. I've never paid that much for a tape in my life, and I never will. But I was like, 300. And then I got outbid, and like someone had a higher tab on it, so I was like, okay, they can have it. I will never have this, and I don't like my life.